Hey, it's JJ, MMA and Sports Extreme Show. We're here at Atlantic City for Caesars for Bellator. It's going to be amazing. I tell you what, Jimmy Smith, how's it going?
Going great, man. Can't wait for the fights.
I got to tell you, the reason I picked this spot is because we got an ocean here. And if we cross this ocean, just like you did in Fight Quest, you can learn all the different styles of martial arts.
All you have to do is be willing to take a horrendous beating. And if you're willing to do that, you can learn any style in the world, as long as you're willing to get your butt kicked.
Speaking of Fight Quest, what was the style that you enjoyed the most and the beating that you enjoyed the least?
Style I enjoyed the most, boxing in Mexico City with Nacho Beristain and his guys. I lived with the fighters, lived in an apartment with them, so we would do a lot of stuff that you didn't even see on camera, where they would get me up at 4 in the morning, hey, time to run. We'd get up and go running, no cameras, no nothing, at a racetrack in Mexico City. So we would run, we would do stuff that they didn't even get on camera, just living with the guys. So I trained 24 hours a day and it was awesome. Had a great time.
So you still keep in touch with those guys?
Still keep in touch with those guys. Vicente Escobedo, one of the guys I roomed with, is an outstanding boxer. He's still boxing pro. We're still in touch. And the beating I hated the most would have to be Israel. Was the beating I hated the most. What happened was, and most people don't understand, is they put me with this gigantic dude named Manesh, who was like 6'3", and they said, okay, you're going to stand there and you're going to trade leg kicks with him. And I went, what do you mean? And he goes, no, you're not going to move, you're not going to angle, you're not going to check, you're going to just trade kicks with him. And like an idiot, I listened to the guy, okay, fine, if that's what you want me to do. And we traded leg kicks, and then at the end I couldn't walk anymore. So that was so in the final fight, I couldn't walk. My legs were too swollen to move, and so the guys beat the crap out of me.
So I'll tell you what, your legs are swollen. You're in Israel. You're getting your ass kicked by some, what, 6'4" guy?
I got my ass kicked by 10 different guys. There were 10 of them, and they came at me one at a time, and I had to fight them in a row. So a lot of stuff we did on Fight Quest, it wasn't a fight. It was an ordeal. Like, can you get through this beating? Because you're not going to beat up 10 guys. They just basically took turns on me until I couldn't walk anymore, and that was it.
Now, Doug Anderson didn't have your back on that.
No, he did not. They separated us so we couldn't have each other's backs. We had moral support, but the fights, man, we wanted to jump in and help each other sometimes. You really want to jump in and help him out and go, screw it, if he's going to fight 10 guys, it's going to be 10 on 2 at least. And we couldn't, so it was hard.
Well, I think it's unfair. You're going into their country, their style, and you're coming in, kind of challenging them, and that's why they're beating your ass.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And a lot of times we got hazed. Like, you'd walk in. I went to the original Gracie Academy in Brazil. It was an amazing experience being there, and I go in there, and we're showing a technique, and then they said, okay, we're going to start in your guard, and you're going to fight. I said, okay, cool. And then after like an hour of that, I look around and I realize that nobody else is fighting anybody else. They're all sitting along the wall waiting to fight me. And so you just got hazed, where it was like, okay, everybody's just going to take turns, and I'm going to have to fight my way through this. And it happened all the time.
Now, speaking of the Gracie Academy, I know that you've competed in a lot of high-level grappling tournaments on the West Coast around the world. Tell us about something you've done, that you're very proud of out in California.
I would say, God, one of the proudest, Jeremy Williams, who fought in the IFL. The late Jeremy Williams, great guy. We fought at something at a no-gi tournament at No Limits, if you know Colin Oyama's place, where Colin Oyama used to teach, the original No Limits Academy. I signed up for a tournament. I said, okay, I'll just sign up for a tournament. And then the guy who was putting the tournament together said, no, I got a super fight for you. And I was like, all right, fine. Who? Jeremy Williams. And I was like, oh my God. I've been watching Jeremy for like 10 years, an amazing grappler. And I ended up beating him in a super fight, ended up catching him in a toe hold. And yeah, that was one of my proudest moments. I got thrown to the wolves a lot. When I first started, I was a blue belt, and I went to something called the No-Gi Pro-Am because my instructor got hurt. He was supposed to fight. And they said, oh, Jimmy will do it. So I'm a blue belt. My first fight was Drew Fickett. No, Gerald Strabent, who was a brown belt at the time, and then Drew Fickett, who's an outstanding grappler. It was just like, hey, Jimmy will do it. And I was okay. And I just wander on the mat and do it. It's just my willingness to just fight anybody. That's what I'm most proud of.
Well, that's important because this leads into the reason that I think that Bellator re-signed you for this next season is the fact that there's a lot of complaints out there when people watch professional MMA on TV because the announcers don't know what they're talking about, the ringside and also in the cage, there's have no idea what they're talking about. And basically, when you're talking, you fought every style. You've been with the Gracies. You know what you're talking about.
Well, the thing is that when there's a difference between this fighter's doing this and saying, I know what it's like to get hit like that. And I don't like it personally. There are a lot of good fans out there who know a lot about the sport, but they don't know what it's like to get hit like that or be in that situation. And when they go, oh, that guy fell down, he shouldn't fall down from a shot like that. You've never taken a leg kick like that. I don't like it when people haven't fought, question somebody else's heart. I generally don't do that anyway, but when I do, I go, hey, you know, if you didn't come to fight, why are you in there? Because when I go in there, I'm ready to fight. So it's that idea of I've been there, I understand what's going on, and I wouldn't dare call out somebody without having been in that situation myself.
I'd much rather get hit in the face than someone sweep my front leg.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, when you've been kicked like that, and I can say, hey, I was training in Thailand. I know how hard those kicks are, and they suck, and that's all they do, and it's really hard to walk on that leg once it starts swelling up. You know I've been there, and I know what I'm talking about. And I'm not just calling out somebody because I'm seeing it from a distance. I've actually been in there.
Well, that's like I was watching Bully Beatdown with Eddie Alvarez, and he took that guy out with only leg kicks. Didn't hit him once, all leg kicks.
I just saw that last week, but if you've been there, you know that there are guys that can take you out without punching you. Right. You know, I've taken a few in the leg, and it's where you're like biting your teeth going, oh, like trying not to show how hurt you are because it's a killer. So I see it happening. Same thing he did to Roger Huerta in their fight. Second kick destroyed his leg.
Yeah, Huerta did not want to continue in that fight.
No, it was done. A lot of heart. He stayed in there. He took a beating, but just outclassed.
I was trying to read lips. I think the doctor was saying, I don't think you should go on. And he said, I definitely don't want to go on.
It's one of those things where when the doctor looks at you, and it was actually his eye that they covered his eye and said, you know, how many, and he couldn't tell them. So when he can't see that eye, they stopped the fight. I think his leg was actually more of an issue because he was limping from the opening shot.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope we see those kinds of fights tonight. Bellator is going to hit here at Caesars in the cage, man. It's going to be unbelievable. What are you looking forward to tonight?
The number one fight I'm looking forward to is Luis Santos. 49-5-1 is his record. 49 wins.
Rookie.
A rookie against Dan Hornbuckle, his third Bellator tournament. It's one of those things where we have to say, you don't get four. He knows that. He goes, hey, I have a third shot. I know I'm not going to get a fourth. The handler has to come out and win this fight. If I don't, I'm done. He knows that.
I'll tell you what, Hornbuckle's the kind of guy you look at the guy, and then you figure when he's not in the ring, he's stealing souls somewhere.
Dude. Yes, he certainly is. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but he's one.
No, go right ahead.
No, he wants to take something from you.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to take something from me. He's one of those guys. He said, every time I face an experienced opponent, the way I look at it, I'm taking his victories. Those 49 wins, when I beat you, I take those 49. I make them my victories. That's exactly what he said. You know, when we were talking to him before, he says, when I beat you, I take your wins. They're mine now. So he's got that intense attitude, and he takes it to every fight. I thought it was a little lacking in his performance against Brent Weidman, and is that handler going to come back? If he doesn't, he's not going to make it through tonight. It's going to be a great fight.
Very much looking forward to your call tonight on MTV2 for Bellator. We've talked about your past. We've talked about what you're doing right now. What do you look at for your future? You're still a young man, relatively. What are you looking at doing for your future?
I appreciate that. You calling me a young man. Well, number one, you know, great things are happening with Bellator right now. MTV2, we're now on Spike.com. A lot of chatter about us going to Spike. That's totally over my head. I know nothing about it, but great things are happening with Bellator. You know, so Bellator is going great. I host American Ninja Warrior on G4. Everybody loves that show. A lot of fans give me love at the fights for the G4 American Ninja Warrior. They love that. I was on NBC. So for me, just a lot of things opening up, commentary and entertainment-wise, and you know, I'll try anything.
That's interesting you mentioned the Spike because I was also on Facebook. I was watching the weigh-ins on Facebook through Spike.
Yeah, it's incredible. And people, because of all these avenues, are talking to me and say, hey, I saw you last night on the weigh-ins on suchandsuch.com. Oh, we're on MMA Junkie now. And I'm like, really? I'm on. I have no idea. And same thing with FightQuest. It went from Discovery to the Military Channel to all these other channels. So people would discover it for the first time when it was already like 2 years old. Hey, I just saw you on the Military Channel. And I was like, really? Oh, you're on Netflix now. I get it on demand.
I just saw you on Cops.
Yeah, that's my dad. He looks just like me. My dad's been on Cops like 4 times. Every time my dad.
Let me see. White T-shirt, trailer, cigarettes rolled up in there.
Like doesn't know what's going on. That's my dad. So yeah, it's one of those things where people see me in all these different venues, and I don't even know where I am. You know, they're going, oh, I saw you on this channel, that channel. It's just there's so many avenues now for fans of the sport to pick us up and see me. That's great. It's great exposure for everybody.
Well, we hope that you have an amazing time tonight. We hope that Bellator continues to come back to Atlantic City, a big fight capital here in the East Coast. Thank you very much.
Been a great fight every time in Atlantic City. You East Coast fans are outstanding. It's always great, you know, commentating a show in front of you guys, big, huge fight fans. And follow me, Jimmy Smith MMA, on Twitter, Facebook, Jimmy Smith MMA. Love to hear from you guys.